Hey there, Bralynn, Newby here. If you've been listening to any of the prophets, or if you just look around you, you know that God is doing a new thing. You see the need for God to do a new thing. In fact, it has been prophesied that if the sons do not rise up and start walking in the authority that the Lord has given us, the world is lost. If God does not do a move, the world is lost. He's not going to do a move without you. You are called for such a time as this, and you don't have to feel qualified because he qualifies the called. So I am doing a Call to Kings free masterclass. And I invite you, I am calling you as a king to rise up. There's been a prophetic word over this masterclass that you will be given at least one key. And I believe that if you're in business, if you're an influencer, you're going to be given more than one key. And God needs you to unlock something in the earth, something that's specifically with your destiny in your lane and the way that you were designed. He needs you to do it. There's no one else who can do it. And so I'm calling you as a king to rise up, grab this key, and then in Kings of Fire, we're going to learn how to use it. We're going to teach you exactly what it means to legislate from heaven, to understand your authority, your identity as a king, and what his kingdom really looks like. So we will see you over there. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
And that class is open right now or not yet?
Yeah, so it's open enrollment now. It starts April 7th, and it's going to be on a Tuesday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it's open enrollment. I'll send you the link so we can share it with everyone.
Sure. Okay. We'll make sure that that gets in the show notes. And everybody, in case you missed this live, just to let you know, on spiritcenteredbusiness.com, everything is in there on the podcast. All of the show notes, all of the notes that I'm taking, all of the links that she gives, the wonderful quotes that she gives. Everything will be in there on spiritcenteredbusiness.com if you miss it. And also, just in case you need to have it as a MP3 download, the podcast is syndicated across the Fringe Radio Network on multiple platforms. It's the same as the Bride Ministries is syndicated on Fringe Radio Network too.
Yep,
so we're on, iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and tons of other ones. Yeah, so awesome. You can find us there and download this episode if you need to hear it over and over again, like I usually do whenever Christian speaks.
So nice.
I want to listen to that one again.
That's so sweet. Another thing, just to get you in terms of what it looks like in the spirit, and again, we go over this in a Kingdom Business, Building Kingdom Business class, is that the Lord showed me that your business is a realm in the spirit. Your business is actually a realm of the spirit. So some people may say, what is a realm? So for those of you, just to think about a realm is just a geographical location in the spirit. This office that I'm in doing this recording is a realm. Where Bralynn is doing her space is a realm. My body is a realm within realms because the liver, there's circulatory systems. Well, in the spirit world, the second heaven has tons and tons of realms. And one of the things the Lord made very clear to me is that there's oftentimes a break with kingdom business owners or Christian business owners because they get a prophetic word from the Lord, or they get a prophetic word from someone, and they try to manifest the business. But here's the thing. The Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That substance actually has to be built in the spirit realm first. So actually go through the actual spirit realm and actually show you how this works, because there's oftentimes a break. You have a good idea, it's a God idea, and then for some reason it just gets swallowed up. For some reason it just gets completely dissolved. And the Lord showed me why. Because businesses are conceived in the third heaven. The Lord gives you a mandate, gives you a vision. They're conceived there. They're incubated in the second heaven, and then they're brought into the third, to the first heaven, or this realm, through agreement and faith. And so there's actually a
Mm.
process. And we go through this in one of the classes. This is called Building Businesses in the Spirit Realm. And we talk about what that actually looks like, how to do it, and all the things you can interface your business realm with once you've actually understood that is there and it needs to be tended to, and you're building it with Jesus. And so that's another thing that's really important in terms of, I don't hear a lot of people talking about what business actually looks like in the spirit. What does it actually look like?
Right.
It's actually an entity in and of itself, and there's massive implications for that revelation.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So now that you have learned that, when you started either the Bride Ministries the next time around or your next business, what were the first kind of steps that you took to not only conceive but incubate that?
Oh, that's a great question. So the first one is the beauty brand is Ayur Luxe, and the snack food business is called Naturally Cravables. And with
Okay.
both of those business, one of the things the Lord told me is make sure to have your paperwork in order. So I always go to the court of heaven and I get the mandate for my business. And I get the mandate. There's some key things I have to get mandates for anytime I start a business, and the Lord tells me those. And so just like you said, Bralynn, going to the court of heaven, getting those things. And then I learned to actually sit with the Lord and partner with the spirit of wisdom, right? Which is a spirit, right? And get downloads with the spirit of wisdom on how to build it. Why? Because the Bible is very clear that building wisdom as a foundation. There's something about having wisdom as the foundation of your business. So I sit and I draft out that part of it, but then I actually sit in the spirit and pray in order to build the realm in the spirit. And I build it with Jesus, and I visualize and say, what is this? What's it going to be? Tend to it, pray over it. There's some certain prayers that I pray for it to just kind of minister to that place. And we talk about that in the class as well, those prayers to tend to it. And when my students have gone back to see their realms, they're like, I could not believe it was overrun. It had not been tended to. It was completely unprotected. I teach you how to protect your realm. And those are the types of things that I do before I start a business. And you do that on a periodic basis, right? Because prayers are temporal. They're powerful, but they're temporal. So if you want something to last in the spirit world, it's not like something gets established. You have to always tend to it because it's actually an active place where people are coming in, actors are going out. And so I make sure that my business is protecting the spirit on a weekly basis, keep that in prayer, sometimes daily if something's going on. Those are the things that I've done, and then to establish it. Does that kind of answer your question? It's a lot of prayer. It's a lot of partnering with Jesus. It's a lot of partnering with wisdom. And there's some courts of heaven activity that you can do to get your business prepared from a spiritual perspective.
Yes, absolutely. That's brilliant. I would say though that a lot of the entrepreneurs, especially like you have an MBA from Harvard, so you know a lot more of the ins and outs and the strategy of actually how to set up a business in the natural. So
100%.
I'm sure that when you align, like, okay, so getting the mandate is, like applying for a business license. Could you make some more alignments for us? Like in the natural, this is what you're going to be doing. And then in the spirit realm, it looks like this.
Yeah, sure.
And not every single thing, but just so that people can understand it a little bit more, because I think it's a little bit ethereal for them.
Yeah, it's a little abstract. So one way that someone described, I'll do the mantles, mandates, and mountains really quickly. One of the students described your mandate as your mission, the mantle as your mission, the mandate as your permission, and the mountain as your position. So that's one thing to think about it, right? So it's mission, permission, position, right? The building in the spirit realm. Imagine if you are a business, you're going to need an office, or you're going to need a place to reside, right? Your realm. So you need, if you're like right now, I'm in our office. You're going to need a warehouse. You're going to maybe work from home. You're going to work from a space. It is the space that your business exists from the spirit perspective. Does that make sense? Bralynn, does that make sense?
Yes,
so it's like so it has to look like something in the spirit. What does it look like, right? right? If your spirit's going to be there, where are they going to be? They're going to be in that geographical location that's like the quote unquote office in the spirit. It's more complicated than that, but to simplify it, that's a way to think about it. Does that make sense? It's more like this. This is a perfect example. If a U.S. soldier is going to invade Mexico, can he just go into Mexico and invade? No, he needs a declaration of war, right? That's a process. That is what your mandate actually gives you, is a declaration of war in that industry. Why? Because when that U.S. soldier goes out and it starts to invade Mexico, he's going to need backup. That is the angelic host with you, right? And so you can think about it from a business perspective, but it really is more like warfare, right? And then when you need more of the resources, you need the drones, and you need the firefighter jets, and you need the atomic bombs or whatever it is. I'm not a war person. You have access to that because you're being represented by the United States government, and they have it. It's all governmental access. And the way to get that governmental access is to make sure that you are doing things under the auspice of the King of Kings. Does that kind of make sense, Bralynn? Does that make sense? Is that less? Yeah. Is that more tangible?
Yes, it really does. Yes, no, I think that will help people a lot. And then another thing that that I teach, especially when you're starting out, is most of your time is going to be spent marketing. You don't get to do what you're really good at until you get your marketing done, because you won't have anyone to buy what you're really good at. So when you're talking about marketing in the spirit realm, draw some correlations with that.
Okay, that's really interesting. So that's all from the spirit realm, right? But then, as you say, building, this is one thing I want to say. The hard thing about building kingdom businesses or enterprises is that they are counterintuitive. They don't always make sense based on what my Harvard Business School would prescribe. They don't, because God will tell you to do something that is counterintuitive. And are you moving by the Spirit and being led by His strategy, or what makes sense in a traditional sense? One of the things I talk about too, Bralynn, this is kind of what you're getting at, is, and I teach entrepreneurs, not necessarily in this class, but in the next one, which is people are so focused on their product. This product is going to be lip gloss, and it's going to have this, and it's going to have coconut oil on it. It's going to be tea tree oil, and it's going to be so good for your lips. And they're telling me feature, 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 feature. And that is a telltale way to know that you're a novice entrepreneur, because while you're focusing on your product, I'm focusing on customer development instead of product development, which is, who is your customer? What do they like? What's their problem? How do they talk about their problem? How are you a solution to their problem? And how do you provide that solution in a way that they can recognize, right? And so that's kind of this whole other thing, which is being customer development focused and not product development focused. And so that's actually why the businesses that I have started, because I know where the customer is. They're easy to find. Where do they hang out? When you're going to go to market, when they're trying to buy something, where do they go when they want to go buy it? Right. And so those are the types of things that I think about, when I think about marketing. It's like, it's customer development. How do you speak? How are you solving a problem? And the greater the problem that you solve, the more value you create. But a business is not about creating value. A business is actually about capturing the value you've just created. And that's another problem. People are like, I want to just create value. Because think about it. I can take this thing, I can create so much value, but I don't capture most of the value I created because I'm charging the wrong price, or the supplier takes most of the value. Right? So you have what actually operating in a business is not just about creating value. It's about a profit model or a revenue model that allows you to capture as much of the value that you actually create. So that's not necessarily a spiritual thing, but I think it's really important when you think about, pursuing business.
Well, I think that the spiritual piece of that, I work with my clients all the time, is understanding the value that they do bring, because they so often devalue themselves. I often work with coaches and speakers, people who are creating a wisdom-based business. And so when they bring transformation to the table, they don't know how to price it. And they often underprice it because they don't value it at the value of that transformation that is actually a spiritual transaction that's happening, and that's changing the trajectory of the other person's life. You have no idea how to value that, and you don't have any idea of what to bring to the table, of the experience of the years of everything that God has poured into you, that you're pouring into that person. And because it comes so naturally to you, it's like, oh, I'll give it away. Oh, that is missing, capturing value right there.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's it. Your clients are exactly what I'm saying. They're creating this value. They're changing lives. So it's being created, but they're not capturing it because they have feelings about whether or not they should charge for it. They undervalue it. They don't know if it's actually that. All of that is exactly what I'm talking about. And that is really, really profound in Christian-based businesses that are like services, like ministry type things, but it's also found in, you know, consulting and coaching and marketing people. We kind of think that being Christian means to underprice, and it's not.
It does not mean that. And yeah, it's really hard to get out of that poverty mindset because people are so conditioned to get things free in church, you know. And you know what? That's a whole other conversation. I better not go there. I'll get on my soapbox. Let's make it about you, not me.
Wherever you like to go, wherever you like to go.
All right. So, what other principles does a kingdom-based business look like, or what does bringing kingdom into your business look like? Just let's go into some of those principles.
Yeah, so there's a lot. So in my class, I teach 6. And so how about this is a good time to transition into that? Is that a good idea?
Well, you know what? Let's do. What I'd like to do, let's do a station identification break. And when we come back from the break, you can talk about around the subject of what you're going to be teaching in the academy, and then we'll wrap it up, and then we'll teach into the academy. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so let's take a quick break here.
Spirit-centered business, spiritual principles, and business principles combined. If you're ready to align your destiny and discover the destiny of your business, join us. We are entrepreneurs, leaders, and business professionals who take the power of the spirit realm in our business seriously. We go beyond just consuming information. We participate, activate, and engage the supernatural with unbelievable results. If you want to gather with like-minded business professionals to activate spiritual principles and mastermind creative solutions to business challenges, Spirit-Centered Business is your tribe. Go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com to become a member today.
And we are back. I am here with Christian Karega. I am so excited to continue the conversation on kingdom business. So you are going to tell us what is going on in your courses and what you're going to teach in the academy. And then, you also made a really good point about kingdom principles. We really don't know all of them.
No.
We don't, especially in transitioning into this next age and what God is doing. The revelations are coming faster and faster and faster. Who knows? Our Christian or our kingdom businesses might look totally different, than we think that they should, or some of the tried and true 3D model of how you do business in the 3D world is not going to look like what it's going to look like in the future. Maybe let's talk a little bit about that. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, you said that because you mentioned, what do you think the principles of a kingdom business look like? And my first thought is I don't ever want to presume that I have the full picture, the full answer in every principle. I just have some ones that the Lord has given me so far, and some of which I've codified in this class, but some of which I'm still learning myself. We're all on a journey. But I think that the massive shift that people are going to make in their minds, and that's one of the things I want to leave people away with, and this is one thing most people, they don't talk about business like this, is that your kingdom business is not just something you do so that you can fund church activity. It's not.
Right.
It's not. And this is how I
Right.
hear people talk about it, and they sound very altruistic and, oh, they, you know, it's so amazing. Like, I just want to make a lot of money and give it to the church, or give it to the Dan Duvals of the world, or give it to the people so that they can do the good Lord's work. That is a sacred cow that I want to slash and grill and make steak with, because I want
serve up a burger, baby.
I want you to see yourself as in the business that you're in, right where God has you, a part of God's actual mission, a part of God's actual kingdom expansion strategy. There are lives that you are going to affect sitting right where you are, that the Dan Duvals in the world, or minister this and so, preacher in the church will never touch, will never see. And the light that you have, we have folks with the Joseph anointing who are able to speak to kings, to speak into their lives. God is wanting to take the things that you have within you and to put it on a different platform. So that's just one thing that I want to encourage you, is to shift your paradigm about what you're doing. You're not doing this so that other people can do God's work. You are doing God's work when you operate from a position of kingdom reality and kingdom authority. So in terms of what I think what's going to look like in the future, I think people are going to get that point. They're going to get that their assignment field is the marketplace. They're going to get how to operate from a place of warfare, overcoming, and victory from that place. We're going to understand one of the big things that I've been on. So I have a Christian business podcast, super creative name, that operates once a month on Discovering the Truth with Dan Duval, and we get into a lot of this stuff. I think we're going to get past the gatekeepers that operate in the spirit world that keep us out of certain mountains. And I just said a whole lot. Braylon's like,
wow.
So there is massive gatekeepers, and that sit. And I had to realize this because at Harvard Business School, they teach you sometimes what I call business myths about how a company got successful. Oh, they just did this and they did this and they had this profit model and it was so great. No, what they don't tell you behind the scenes, that in the spirit world, there are secret deals going on because there's a gatekeeper that's saying, until you bow down to me, you don't get to the next level in your company. And what we don't know is a lot of people sell out there or they get stuck because they don't even know those gatekeepers exist. But I believe that once you understand how to be operative from a spiritual perspective with all the tools that we have, we're going to blow past those gatekeepers. And we are going to have businesses that are compromising, that are significant, and that are kingdom through and through. So that's another thing is they're going to understand who they are and what God is really trying to do in their business. And then we're going to get past these gatekeepers that are in every single industry, sits on every mountain. And then thirdly, we are going to integrate our spirits into this. It's something I talk about and teach as well. We'll talk about this in the academy, how to engage with your spirit and how to do business with your spirit, how to do business from a context of your heavenly scroll. And how many of you know heavenly things are not discerned by the carnal mind? They must require your spirit. So we're talking to people who are engaged with their spirit and reading those scrolls and manifesting that. So those are three big things I predict for the future.
Wow. And those are three awesome things. Yeah, that and teleportation. So, you know, who doesn't want that?
Right. save on travel.
Right? Oh my gosh, that's great. Okay, so that was an awesome setup. Is there anything more setup that you want to talk about that you're going to be teaching in the academy, or any promo that you want to teach and talk about for your class, Building Kingdom Businesses? Because I know they kind of go together.
Yeah, sure. So the first thing is, if you're interested in these topics and you're getting stirred up, every third week on Discovering the Truth with Dan Duval, I've taken over the podcast and we're running a Christian business podcast. And in those podcasts, we go through the gamut of business. So we talk about some of this spiritual stuff from a cosmic soul trade perspective. We talk, I'm interviewing social entrepreneurs who are using enterprise to fund social missions. We talk about people who are in corporations and how God is helping them. Prophetic coaches. So it's going to be Daryl Crawford Marshall is going to be in the podcast. So we just talk about a variety of things, how to use the courts of heaven. So that's interesting. If you're interested in that, you can do that. For the Building Kingdom Business class, it's a 6-week class. It starts April 7th through May 19th. And it'll be Tuesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. And in that class, we're going to go over the 4 levels of entrepreneurship, which are really important. We're going to go over mantles, mandates, and mountains, which I alluded to in this on this show, and what the difference is between some of these you probably haven't even heard of and how they work together. We're going to talk about building business in the spirit realm. So if your mind was like fried when I talked about the third heaven and the second heaven, the first heaven, don't worry about it. We're going to go over that in detail. And that's the third lesson. The fourth one is transitioning your business to the kingdom. And that's something that you just have to hear. How to capitalize and just talking about how to build. And the last one is building heavenly blueprints. So there's a number of things like building with vision, competence, environmental design, building with systems, not goals. I think we're going to talk about that in the academy, and building with your spirit. So that is the class. And I would love to see many of your people here come to the class and check it out. It has been the first class.
Absolutely.
People had amazing testimonies even before the class ended about how they operate these principles and seeing dramatic results in their business.
That is awesome. Well, I want to attend. So absolutely. Who's with me? Come on, let's all go together. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Christian. This is amazing. I can't wait for the academy teaching, even that. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Okay, you guys. So if you absolutely loved it, which I know that you did, please share, subscribe, like, click the buttons wherever you're listening to it. And we so appreciate your support and encouragement. Make sure that you look at all of the show notes. I will have everything that she talked about, all of the links, all of those dates, everything like that are going to be in the show notes on spiritcenteredbusiness.com. And until next time, stay spirit-centered. Bye-bye.
Hey there, SCB peeps. I want to give a huge shout out and deep appreciation and thanks to Candace Benton. She has become a super sponsor for the Spirit Centered Business Show. So I would appreciate you helping me in sending blessings and abundance back to her. Thank you so much, Candace, and you are well loved.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles, and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.